Okay, we have another nugget, and in this nugget, I want to give you some thoughts on what top performers do for their morning routines, and this stuff's really important. We could spend a lot of time on this topic, but I'm going to keep it quick as usual because the nuggets are just designed to give you the overall concept and get your thoughts going. So, what's the morning routine look like for most people, the average Joe? Let's say they got to be at work at 8 o'clock in the morning. Well, maybe they get up at 7 or 7:30. They roll out of bed, slap on some clothes, get some coffee and throw something shitty in their body, and then haul ass to work and show up late, right? So how does that compare to how a top performer would do his morning routine? An example of 4 things that top performers all focus on during their morning routine are meditation, exercise, reading, and journaling. And as you know, I try to gobble up every book on success I possibly can, and go to videos, conferences, hang around everyone I can learn stuff from. And these things are very common in all of them, right? I personally have been hit and miss on some of these topics. Like, for example, meditation. And we'll go a little bit into each of these topics, but meditation is something where you should study it. You should learn it. I mean, over and over and over again, successful people, highly successful people learn how to meditate. And all it really is clearing out your mind of all the stuff and getting in a quiet place so you can start thinking about what you want to think about and organize and plan out your day, right? Just get rid of kind of all the garbage in the fray and get in the center of all that. I do a really good job of that. I started learning about it about maybe 15 years ago, and there's maybe a few mornings a year where I don't spend at least some time on meditation. The next thing is reading. I read a lot of stuff all throughout the day, but I don't necessarily do a good job of doing that first thing in the morning, right? But I do read, but I need to adjust where I do that at, and I'll talk about that. The other thing is exercise. So for a lot of us people that are trying to do big things and get ahead, we tend to sacrifice certain things in our life. And one of the first things most of us are sacrificing is our exercise and our health, right? And I'm guilty of that too. I'll go in pretty good stretches, and I'll go in pretty long stretches where I don't. It's not consistent. It's not a habit. And the last thing is journaling. I do a terrible job at journaling, right? Well, I had been doing a terrible job at journaling. And again, that's one of those threads as I read all these books over the years, just like, that's something you should be doing, and there's a lot of reasons you should be doing it. So let's talk about what my old routine used to be. I get up in the morning. I'm a fairly early riser, had been a fairly early riser. So I'll get up in the morning, I'll go downstairs in my private bathroom, and I'll sit down on the commode, and then I'll start doing things I shouldn't be doing, like break out my iPad, and I'll go through things like Fox News and read all the headlines. And I'll start actually putting stuff into my brain that I shouldn't be putting into my brain. After I do that, then I'll go into my meditation. And I'll spend 30, 40, 50 minutes on my meditation because there's a lot of things I do in that. So I got that down as a habit. It's actually part of my character now, but it's a part of my routine for sure, right? But then I maybe exercise a couple times a week and then go for weeks and weeks without doing it, right? And I certainly haven't been journaling. Now, I know I needed to go make that routine better. So how did I go about making it better? How did I change my habits on that? First of all, I got to give a nod out to a gentleman named Joe Clary. He recommended a book to me that I read, and the book's called The Miracle Morning. And there's quite a few different Miracle Morning versions by the same author. I read the main book. I think it was his original book. And it kind of started affecting my thoughts. And that's the important part about it, right? Because if you want to change anything that's happening in your life, the first step is start changing your thoughts, right? So getting good information. And this book really did that for me. So I highly recommend you read that. And thank you, Joe Clary. Next, I decided to take action on it. And taking action is an extremely important step, because if you take thought and you turn it into action and you continue to fight through that and make actions on it, they become habits. And once it becomes a habit, it just gets easier and easier to do. So then it's part of your routine. So what does my morning routine look like now because of reading The Miracle Morning? And that book just kind of put it all together to me. It really made sense for me. So I hope it does the same thing for you. But my morning routine now is I get up a little earlier. I'm trying to get up at least by 5. And ironically, since I've been doing The Miracle Morning for several weeks now, I'll get up on my own between 4 and 4:30. And I found that might be slightly early. So I'm trying to be like 4:30 to 5. So I get up, I get out of bed, I go down to my private bathroom, and then I sit down and I start reading. That's the first thing I do. So I took a bunch of books, I moved my iPad out of that room, I took a bunch of books that I want to read and I set them in that room. So when I go down there, I can grab that book and I can start reading. And you don't have to do this stuff for an extended period of time. So mine might sound slightly extreme to you, but you could literally just take 3-4 minutes, read a couple pages, get some good stuff in your mind, right? The next step I do after that is a little bit of exercise. So I could go into my little gym and do some workout. Maybe I'll go on a bike ride. I've done that some mornings, or I go on a run. And a lot of times if I don't have the motivation right now, because this is one that's not totally habitual for me, I'll just do something simple. Like for example, this morning I got up and I did a bunch of jumping jacks in my bathroom, and I did a bunch of jump ropes without a jump rope. I just pretended it was there. So maybe 3, 4, 5 minutes. And there's a lot of things you could talk about and why that's so important, but I just get my blood pumping. It makes me feel better. And then I go to my shower because that's where I do my meditation. So then I spend my time meditating, and I'll take my 30, 40 minutes there. And once I'm done with that, I'll go to journaling, right? So I bought a journal and I just sit down there and write something out. You don't have to write a ton out, and there's a lot of reasons you want to do this too, right? And that's where I'm probably the most weak right now. I would say in the last 2 weeks, I probably journaled half of the days. I'm supposed to do it every day, but it's becoming better and better. It's starting to become habitual for me because I keep taking action on those thoughts, right? So let's recap. To be a top performer, you have to start your day off right. So I recommend you go get the book Miracle Morning and read the book. It really tied it all together for me, like I said. Then go start taking massive action on those things to start making it a habit, right? And stick with it, I still struggle, like I mentioned, on exercise and journaling. So you're going to struggle on some of this stuff too, but don't give up, because it's little by little, it's turning these into habits for you, right? And it's getting more and more consistent. For me, it's really made a big difference in a lot of things, on how I feel and how I'm operating throughout my day. And I know you'll sense those changes too. You just have to take action. So go change your morning routine and have a great day.